Okay, so imagine this. All right. What if gender, like, wasn't a fixed thing? Like, what if it was something you could just, like, shift and change?
Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
It's wild. And that's the whole premise behind The Left Hand of Darkness, this sci-fi novel by Ursula K. Le Guin.
Oh, yeah.
It's, like, mind-blowing. I mean, even Steve Jobs was a huge fan.
Oh, wow.
And today we're going deep, doing a deep dive into this book, and we're going to uncover like its themes of connection, innovation, all that, and get the, believe it or not, we're going to tie it all back to that hashtag AI sci-fi challenge that's been blowing up online.
That's interesting. It really is fascinating how a book published way back in the 60s
Right.
can still be so powerful, like even today, especially with all the crazy advances we're seeing with AI and everything.
Absolutely. It's mind-blowing, honestly. So to like set the scene a little bit, The Left Hand of Darkness takes us to this crazy icy planet. It's called Gethin, but it's also known as Winter,
Ooh.
right? Like already sounds intense, right?
Yeah.
And our main character, this guy, Genly AI, he's a human, he's a diplomat, and he's sent to this planet to like make contact with the Gathenians.
Okay.
But here's the twist, right? The Gathenians, they're ambisexual, meaning they don't have like a set gender.
Oh, wow.
They just shift, they go back and forth between male and female roles depending on like their needs and the situation.
Right.
Can you imagine a world like that?
That's, it really makes you think, it really challenges all those assumptions we have about gender, about identity. It's like, Le Guin isn't just like building a world in this book. She's making us examine like everything, the whole structure we take for granted. you know?
Yeah. It's deep. Okay, so let's unpack this whole ambisexuality thing a little bit more.
Okay.
So they go through this process called Kemmer, and that's where they can like actually become male or female for a period of time. It's a biological mind bender, right?
Yeah.
No wonder this Genly A guy has a tough time like wrapping his head around all of it.
Yeah, totally. It's not just like a physical difference, right?
Sure.
It shapes literally
Right.
their entire culture, how they interact with each other, how they communicate. Like there's no concept of war, for instance, in the same way that we understand it. Their conflicts are resolved in completely different ways. Imagine having to like completely relearn how you see the world and everyone in it. Like that's his challenge.
That's intense. And that's where I think that's where the place inside the blizzard comes in, right?
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
chapter, it's like crucial. Genly's stuck in this, well, blizzard, obviously. And he's with a Gathenian and he really doesn't trust this guy. But they have to rely on each other to survive, right?
It's so powerful how she explores trust.
Yeah.
And like understanding can be built even when things are so hard and you're so different. Even the title of that chapter, The Domestication of Hunch, I mean, just that is worth like unpacking.
Yeah, what is that about?
So hunch in this book refers to this intuitive sense, almost like a premonition, and the Gathenians have actually like learned to control that part of themselves. They've domesticated it. What do you think about that? Does that like resonate with you at all?
I mean, yeah, totally. It makes me think about how technology shapes our own intuition. Like, are we getting so reliant on algorithms, data, all that, that we're like losing touch with our gut feelings?
That's a great connection.
Yeah.
Yeah. It really highlights how even though this book is sci-fi, it speaks to these like timeless human questions, right?
Absolutely. Okay, so how does this all tie back into the hashtag AI sci-fi challenge? This thing is taking the internet by storm. People are using AI tools now to make these awesome short sci-fi videos, like mini Left Hand of Darkness worlds. Yeah.
The parallels are really fascinating. Like just as Le Guin imagined this radically different world, these creators are using AI to like bring their own visions to life,
And they're using platforms like Runway to do it, which is crazy. Like Runway lets them do visuals, music, even dialogue. It's really mind-blowing how accessible all this technology is becoming.
Right. It's like it's democratizing creativity in a way we haven't seen before.
Yeah.
Like anyone with an internet connection can be a sci-fi storyteller now.
And the engagement is just, it's through the roof. People really want this kind of content, this imaginative stuff.
Yeah, and it makes you wonder, like, why now? Why is sci-fi having this, like, huge resurgence?
Yeah.
It's not just the technology, right? It's like, it's reflecting something deeper, something about where we are, We're dealing with these, like, massive technological advances, these huge societal shifts. I mean, AI is changing everything, how we work, how we communicate, everything.
It's like we're living in a sci-fi novel ourselves.
Yeah.
Which is probably why we're so drawn to it, right? We're trying
Yeah.
to like make sense of this world that's changing so fast. And sci-fi gives us that safe space to like explore all the anxieties and all the possibilities, you know?
It's true. And that's actually where I think the connection to Steve Jobs comes in.
Okay, I'm all ears. Tell me about Steve Jobs and the left hand of darkness.
So Jobs, he was like obsessed with design and innovation, right?
Oh, yeah.
And I think he saw in Guin's writing a similar, like a kindred spirit,
Hmm.
someone who wasn't afraid to challenge conventions, push boundaries, all that.
Just like he did with Apple. I mean, he was all about thinking differently, making a dent in the universe, you know?
Exactly. And it's interesting to think about how his whole approach to innovation might have been influenced by reading The Left Hand of Darkness,
Hmm.
because the book is full of these ideas that are like both visionary and still grounded in human experience,
Hmm.
like the Guinian technology.
Yeah.
It's advanced,
Yeah,
right?
right.
But it's also like integrated with their environment and their culture. It's not just technology for its own sake. It's about like serving a purpose.
That's a good point. It's about using technology thoughtfully,
Mhm.
you know, with like actual focus on human needs and values.
Yeah.
And that feels like something that's often missing from our current like tech landscape, you
And
know?
sometimes, yeah.
We're so obsessed with the newest gadgets, the latest thing, you know, we forget to ask, like, what's it actually doing for us? How's this actually improving our lives?
Yeah. And that's why The Left Hand of Darkness is so relevant even today.
Yeah.
It makes us step back, consider the bigger picture.
Mm.
Think about the ethical stuff, like the implications of all our choices with technology.
It's like a cautionary tale, but also like hopeful in a way. It
Yeah.
shows we have the power to shape the future of tech, to use it for good or, you know, the opposite.
And that choice, ultimately, it's up to us. Like, just as Genly AI has to figure out how to navigate this, like, complex world of Gethin,
Yeah.
we got to figure out how to navigate the world of AI and how it's affecting our lives.
So, speaking of Genly I'm curious, what's your take on his character? He's like this total outsider trying to make sense of a culture that's so different from his own.
Yeah.
What do you make of his journey?
I think Genly is actually a really relatable character, especially for anyone who's ever felt like out of place.
Mhm.
He's constantly trying so hard to understand the Cathenians, to see the world through their eyes.
Yeah.
And he makes a lot of mistakes,
Yeah.
along the way. He misinterprets what they do. He judges them based on his own ideas, his baggage.
Right, right.
But that's actually that's what makes his journey so interesting. He's learning and growing the whole story. And he transforms.
Yeah.
It's all about empathy and understanding.
And it's not just about him understanding the Athenians, right?
Right.
It's about him understanding himself.
Yeah, totally. He has to face his own biases, his own assumptions about like everything.
It's like a journey of self-discovery as
Yeah.
much as it is like a exploration of this new culture.
Exactly. And that's something I think we can all relate to, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whether or not we're like exploring a new planet or just living our lives, we're all trying to figure ourselves out in the world around us.
Absolutely.
And the more open we are to different perspectives, different ways of seeing things, the richer that journey gets. Like, just as Genly AI discovers, like, the beauty and complexity of Gethin.
Yeah.
We can discover all that, the beauty and complexity of being humans, just by embracing diversity and challenging our own assumptions.
That's a powerful message.
Yeah.
And it really ties back to that whole hashtag AI Sci-Fi challenge thing. All these creators are using AI to explore different worlds, different perspectives, different ways of like just existing.
Yeah. They're pushing the boundaries of our imagination.
Yeah.
Just like Guin did with The Left Hand of Darkness.
Right. And by doing that, they're helping us see the world in new ways, in exciting ways.
It's like they're saying, the future is what we make it. Let's use our imagination and this technology to create something amazing.
And to me, that's the most inspiring takeaway from all of this. We really have the power to shape the future.
We do.
And it all starts with our willingness to imagine the possibilities.
Okay, so let's take a minute to just think about everything we've talked about.
Yeah.
What stands out to you?
Yeah.
What feels really relevant or, makes you think? What connections are you making to your own life, to the world around you?
Yeah.
Yeah, it really does feel like we're at this point, where art and technology and just like being human all come together.
It's pretty mind-blowing when you think about it. I'm curious, do you think Le Guin, like way back when she was writing this, could have predicted this whole AI-driven creativity thing?
It's hard to say for sure, but Her work definitely touched on a lot of the questions we're dealing with now,
Yeah.
with technology and how it affects us.
Totally. Like that whole mind speak thing in the book,
Right.
right? Where the Gathenians can communicate telepathically.
Right.
That's almost like it's like a precursor to how we connect now,
Yeah.
with digital platforms, AI assistants, all that.
Yeah. That's really insightful. It makes you think about how technology can, like, it can make our communication better,
Uh-huh.
but it can also make it more complicated.
Right.
Like in the book, Mindspeak helps them understand each other better, be more empathetic, but they still have problems. It's
Yeah.
not a perfect system.
Yeah,
Just like technology in our world isn't going to magically solve all our communication issues.
for sure. It's like we still have to put in the work, right?
Definitely.
Yeah.
And that brings us back to that idea of the domestication of hunch,
Right.
how we deal with our intuition in a world that's so shaped by tech.
It's that constant balance, right? Between embracing what AI can do and also like holding on to our own human instincts.
Exactly. Finding that sweet spot.
Uh-huh.
And I think that's a theme that runs through the whole book, through the hashtag AI Sci-Fi Challenge, too.
Absolutely. Okay, let's shift gears a bit. Let's talk about Steve Jobs. What do you think it was about this book that he connected with so strongly?
Well, Jobs, he was all about pushing the limits, breaking the mold.
Yeah.
And I think he saw that same spirit in Le Guin's writing,
Hmm.
like a kindred spirit, someone who wasn't afraid to challenge the status quo.
Just like he did with Apple. He was always talking about thinking differently, making a dent in the universe.
Exactly. And it's interesting to think, maybe his whole approach to innovation, maybe it was influenced by the left hand of darkness. You know what I mean?
Mm.
The book is full of ideas that are so visionary, but also very human at the same time.
Yeah, like how the Gathenians use technology, right? It's super advanced, but it's
Yeah.
also like part of their environment, their culture.
Right.
It's not just about the tech itself, it's about like what it's for, what purpose it serves.
That's so important. Using technology in a way that makes sense, that actually focuses on people and their needs.
Yeah.
And that's something that, honestly, we could use a lot more of in our world today.
I know, right? We get so caught up in the latest and greatest that we forget to ask, like, is this actually good for us? Is this really making our lives better?
And that's why a book like The Left Hand of Darkness, even though it was written so long ago, is still so important today.
Hmm.
It reminds us to step back, look at the big picture, think about what we're doing with technology, the ethical side of it all.
It's like a warning, but also, like we said before, a little bit of hope. It shows us that we can choose how we use tech, whether it's for good or bad.
And that choice is ours to make.
Yeah.
Just like generally AI has to figure out how to navigate this new world, the world of Gethin, we have to navigate this world that's being reshaped by AI.
And that's a huge responsibility, right?
Yeah.
But also, like, super exciting.
It is. Okay, let's talk more about Generally AI for a second. What are your thoughts on him as a character? He's this outsider trying to understand this culture that's completely foreign to him. What do you make of his journey?
I think Genly is a really relatable character. Anyone who's ever felt like they don't quite fit in,
Yep.
He's trying so hard to understand the Gathenians, to see things from their point of view.
Yeah, he's really putting in the effort.
And he messes up a lot along the way,
Okay.
He misunderstands things. He judges them based on his own, like, preconceived notions.
He does, but that's part of what makes him so human, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
And his journey, it's all about growth. It's about learning to be empathetic and understanding.
And it's not just about him understanding the Gathenians, it's also about understanding himself, right?
Exactly. He's forced to confront his own biases, his own assumptions about the world.
So it's like a journey of self-discovery as much as it is a journey of exploring this other culture.
Precisely. And that's something that I think resonates with everyone,
Yeah.
Whether we're exploring a new planet or just navigating our own lives, we're all on this journey of trying to understand ourselves and the world around us.
Absolutely. And the more open we are to different ways of thinking, different perspectives, the more we'll get out of that journey.
Yeah. Just like Genly discovers the beauty and the complexity of Gethin, we can discover the beauty and complexity of being human just by being open to diversity and challenging our own assumptions.
That's such a great point. And it ties back to what we were talking about with the hashtag AI Sci-Fi Challenge, right?
Right.
All these creators using AI to explore these different worlds, different ways of being.
You're pushing the limits of our imagination, just like Le Guin did with the left hand of darkness.
Exactly. And in doing so, they're helping us to see the world in these new, exciting ways. It's like they're saying, hey, the future is up to us. Let's use our imaginations and this incredible technology to create something amazing.
That's a great way to put it.
And for me, that's the biggest takeaway from all of this.
Yeah,
We have so much power to shape the future.
you do.
And it all starts with being willing to imagine what's possible.
Okay, let's pause here for a moment and think about what we've covered.
Okay.
What's resonating with you? What's making you think? What connections are you making to your own life or to the world around you?
You know, it's amazing to think about how much impact one book can have, you know?
Yeah,
The Left Hand of Darkness, it sparked so many conversations, like inspired creators. It's still relevant, even now.
it really speaks to how brilliant Le Guin was,
Yeah.
to be able to tap into something so universal, so human.
Yeah.
Her themes of connection and innovation, the search for understanding, it just goes beyond time and place.
Absolutely. And those themes are really coming to life now with that whole hashtag AI Sci-Fi challenge.
Yeah,
It's like these creators are taking what she started and just like running with it,
it's true.
exploring all these new worlds and possibilities using AI as like the lens, you know?
What's really fascinating to me is how they're using AI to challenge our assumptions about storytelling itself.
Yeah, how so?
Like they're blending human creativity with machine learning in these ways that are like blurring the lines, creating something totally new.
It's not just about using AI for visuals or special effects, right?
Right, exactly. It's about
Mm.
exploring different structures for stories,
Yeah.
different ways of like showing emotion and meaning.
And that's where I see a real connection back to The Left Hand of Darkness.
Yeah.
Le Guin's writing, it's so nuanced, so layered. The way she uses language, perspective, it makes you think differently about storytelling, you know?
hmm
It's like she's always pushing the reader, getting them to step outside their comfort zone and see the world from a totally different point of view. And those AI sci-fi videos are doing that too, you know?
They're pushing the boundaries of what even counts as sci-fi or storytelling even.
Right.
It's like they're playing with the form and the structure and just like everything in these ways that are exciting and a little unsettling too.
It makes you wonder, what would a Guinian sci-fi video even look like? You know, if they were making them, how would they use AI to tell their stories?
That's a great question. Imagine like a video that shows that whole camera thing from their point of view. It could be so beautiful, so abstract,
Yeah.
showing how fluid gender is for them, those shifting identities, the connections they make.
I can almost picture it, you know, like a swirl of colors, shapes, always changing, representing how their biology and society work together.
Yeah, and maybe they'd use AI to create this soundscape that shows how they communicate, something that captures that mind speak thing, how their thoughts and feelings are all connected.
It'd be like stepping into another world, another way of being. That's the power of sci-fi, right? Whether it's written by us or made by an AI, it takes us beyond our limits, lets us experience something totally different.
And maybe in that experience of something so different, we find out something new about ourselves. We see our world, our own assumptions in a whole new light.
It's like that saying, the best mirror is an old friend. But in this case, the mirror is a sci-fi story, showing us our own hopes, fears, and like what we could be.
Yeah. And that reflection can be tough, but it can also change us, make us question our beliefs, our values, even our place in the universe.
And The Left Hand of Darkness does that so well.
It does.
It's a book that sticks with you, makes you think, makes you feel, makes you want to explore more.
That's Le Guin's legacy, isn't it? She opened up so many possibilities for us, and now with AI, those possibilities are just exploding.
It's a pretty amazing time to be into sci-fi, that's for sure.
It is.
So, as we wrap up this deep dive, we want to leave you with this. What world are you going to create? What's your story? The tools are out there, the possibilities are endless, and the future is waiting to be imagined.